Hello and welcome back to Table Takes here on Gen Con TV. This is, of course, our tabletop news show where I'm joined by these wonderful hosts. My name is, of course, Marcus Mays, and I am usually behind the scenes, but I'm filling in for our good dear friend Peter Atkinson, who is having some fun on his own. But Peter will return. Right now, I'd like to touch base with the other wonderful host of Gen Con TV's Table Takes. Let me see, who is my favorite today? I can't choose. I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. Bonsai, what are you up to?
I'm the favorite. That's what it's been said. Anywho, I've been good. This week I was able to play in Burning Ceratop on Wednesday on Gen Con TV. So that was fun. I got to basically beat up a bunch of people and then ignore an elf prince, and that had no repercussions whatsoever.
And now, just for the viewers at home who don't watch or haven't seen Burning Ceratop, you are a bastard, correct?
Yes, so I am Fatima Al Raham. I'm essentially the public safety council member who is just basically a lady in big ol' armor who likes to punch people and get things done, and has a conspiracy about it that she's been very paranoid about. But yeah, no, it's fun. I've been enjoying that character a lot. And it's a lot of political entry, and I'm the one with the sword when somebody asks me politics, and I go stab.
And this is why and you can check out Actoroki Burning Ceratop every other Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Gen Con TV. Bonsai is fantastic in the show. If you have not seen it, definitely check it out. Check out the VODs on our YouTube. Bonsai is killing it every episode she's in. Anything else you've been up to this week, Bonsai?
Other than that, not really much. Mostly just taking my little one to swim class, and he's finally getting settled into daycare, so that's good. I have time to basically 3D print the other human, which is making me tired and making my butt hurt. All the good stuff.
Excellent, Bonsai. Thank you so much for a little insight into the sliver of life that you are living on this weird, gross planet filled with bacteria and love. Next up, alphabetically, of course, is Javion. It's Javion.
Right. Great job.
I knocked it out of the park, and I appreciate the acknowledgement. But Javion, what have you been up to this week?
I have been trying to get my friend into stuff. I got my friend who's obsessed with deck building games into Dune Imperium, and he bought the digital version for both of us so that we could play all the time now.
That's awesome.
I got my other friend into Captain Flip, and we play on Board Game Arena non-stop. It's really, really fun and easy to play. And then I got another friend of mine to come over and play the Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, which is it's not deck building, but it is card management, Terraforming Mars, which cuts off a whole 30 minutes off of the playtime. So that was pretty fun. I've been trying to watch more Dropout. I've been watching Make Some Noise. Game Changers is over for the season, unfortunately, so it's not a lot of that. But they have a lot of really cool one-off little Dropout Presents things, like Bigger with Brennan and Izzy, which is really funny. And I believe Adam Ruins Everything star Adam has his own unmedicated is what it's called stand-up special. So if you like stand-up, I would recommend those. Those are pretty funny.
That's awesome. Have you been, and your friends, have they been very receptive to the games that you've been trying to show?
No,
not at all. That's why you're playing hours of
no, I have impeccable taste, Marcus. Anytime I show somebody something, it's because I know they're going to love it.
Okay.
That's why I've been talking to you guys about Lorcana all this time. And if you would just play it, I'm telling you, you're going to love it.
No.
As someone who's recently, after I think about 3 years of Javion telling me to try some Magic the Gathering, I've started to play it. So 4 years from now, I am going to be the Lorcana guy. You'll see how this happens. And Javion, I will play Lorcana with you in the next 4 years. 4 years, I promise you. I promise you that.
Well, it's going to be kind of hard now because they still haven't gotten a replacement for Pixelborn.
Yeah, there we go. Back. That's another talking about the no VTT or no online gaming aspect for Lorcana right now.
But there is an underground option if you want to go that route. I won't say you should use it. You shouldn't use Lorcanita. Don't use Lorcanita. You shouldn't do that. That's not what you should do. You shouldn't use it.
Why are you all holding up cards? I don't have The only card I have is Jared from Twilight Eclipse. Like I don't have
All I have
he's
is
not even
my-
like it's got his quote. I wish Bella wouldn't call. That's what I have. That's what I brought to the table. You guys have like your magic cards and stuff. This is what I bring.
I have my debit card next to me. That's the closest thing. I
Would
can't
you
really.
actually could you hold it up real quick?
No, it's
Front and
okay.
back, front and back.
I'm not gonna
Run
do
it back.
that. I'm not gonna do that. No.
Well, okay, Javion, that's fine. You mastered cybersecurity. For those watching, that is a cybersecurity lesson from Javion. Knocked it out of the park, Javion. Now, alphabetically speaking, Noir is in theory next. So
Okay.
Noir,
Yeah.
what have you been up to, you lovely so-and-so?
Oh, just vibing, hanging out. I've got the old website up and running, noirville.com. Check it out. I've started making more content, so you'll see me making YouTube videos again. But more than that, I have been protecting the Imperium of Man. It's serving as the light and wrath of the God Emperor in Space Marine 2.
How
I
is
heard that's
Space Marine 2?
Brother, it is so good.
Did it just drop?
Yes, brother.
Okay, so okay, man, do I need to hop in? Okay, show's canceled. I have to go start Space. I have to download Space Marine right now. So what have you been liking about it? Is it what have you been liking?
Oh, so okay, so where Helldiver made you feel very much like Starship Troopers, this really does make you feel like an Astartes or a Space Marine to the uninitiated. It's just nonstop wanton violence. You get to play with 2 other of your friends, so it's a 3-man squad. And then of course you get to customize your Space Marines. So you get to adjust in all the colors of the different chapters. You get to, modify what your armor looks like. It's just good times. And you get to be the wrath of the God Emperor. So who doesn't love that?
Awesome. I'm glad you're finding some fun with another digital version of, or not even digital version, a video game version of something that
Of
often
Warhammer.
of
Yeah.
Warhammer, which is I almost said a word that we can say once per stream, which is awesome. I do want to take a second here and point out, Noir, could you really just show off that hat again? I want to zoom in on this.
Yeah.
Hat.
Oh, yeah, no Marvel 312. So the standard Marvel universe is 0616. So because mine takes place in Chicago, thus the Chicago Stars, we got our 312. And I have a couple of I have a couple of Noirville games on Start Playing Games. So if you have ever been curious to play the Marvel multiverse system, find me on Start Playing Games and I'll run you through it.
And we will drop a link in chat to that at the moment we find one.
Yep, I should have had that ready.
But while Noir is doing that, I'll touch on what I have been up to. I have been talking with some of the cool folks here behind the scenes at Gen Con TV, and we have concluded that we are going to participate in SUBtember towards the end of the month, where we're going to have a rollout with new emotes and new cool things for our shows. So we actually have some free emotes right now that are in chat. You are feel free to drop them. They are free here.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Look at that cute, fat, chubby dragon baby.
So cute.
Oh, hold on. Are we not getting sound? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, they were not getting all of the sound. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they were getting some sound. No, I think they weren't getting my sound. So
Okay.
yeah, I can't. Yeah, so those are what we have in there. We have a new Roll20. A new crit roll. I'm blanking on everything.
Sorry.
Roll20 crit.
Roll20 crit dice. We have Genevieve with the roll crit dice. We have a fatal dice where you get a 1. You know it doesn't go well. Genevieve's hydrating die, the wonderful mascot of Gen Con. We have a Gen Con Pride, as well as we're going to be having new emotes, as well as animated emotes and stuff come a little bit later. You can keep an eye out of that. What do you guys think about these new emotes?
I
Uh,
love them.
they're so good, and I shout out to Tanil who did all the artwork for this. Oh my god, they're so cute, especially the one that's hydration. I just like it when they look extra chunky chunks.
That is a buff baby right there. That is
Chunks.
Gorgeous. Those are awesome. Thank you. And again, once again, sorry for not being able to hear my audio on that. I'm not usually on the stream, so that's usually you don't need to hear me talking for the most part during that scene. But yeah, I have been working with the wonderful people of Gen Con TV, trying to make everything all nice, pretty, and pretty. So I'm happy to be here filling in on TableTakes this week. But that's like enough catching base. We have SUBtember, we've teased SUBtember. Next week we will have some more information and maybe even some more emotes in the next 2 weeks. So keep an eye out. I'm so excited to see what's going to be coming for there. But it's showtime. It's time to get into these headlines. And the first headline I see is something's available for pre-order. Something people are really, really wanting to get their grubby little fingers on, Bonsai.
Yes, so if you are a big Critical Role fan and have been hearing this little game called Daggerheart, well, do I got news for you. Thank you to Alice Giovanni, from Polygon for posting this article. So, Daggerheart, Critical Role's hero fantasy system that's meant to compete with D&D's 5th edition, has finally begun their pre-order sales. With the anticipation of getting those out in spring 2025. They're selling 2 options right now. So the cheaper option is the $60 core set, which is the core rulebook, 279 cards, which are used to track your class, community, and ancestry powers, and the PDF. The second option is the 150 limited edition that contains all the same, along with the GM screen, dice tokens, alternate art cover, and more. So a lot of those, like if you've been through the play testing, like I have, I really enjoy Daggerheart. And I really just like promoting other RPGs that can compete with just Dungeons and Dragons, because there's so many more RPGs out there that people just need to get their toes into. And being that Critical Role, a lot of people like them, and that's a lot of people's intro into Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing games in general. I hope that this helps people branch out more. But in my honest opinion, this order seems a little premature, because if you do visit the website, after all of this time, they did the play testing, private ones, public ones, and all these corrections. The actual cover art for the core rulebook and the alternate cover art for the limited edition core rulebook, along with the images, are not posted on the website for the pre-order. You just kind of see placeholders for everything, not the dice, or maybe you get to see some of the cards and some of the playmats, but the actual book itself and the cover art is not displayed yet. So they are leaning a little bit more on the community faith, which they do. Granted, they have built that up. But for me, if you're this company that has been well polished, especially doing a lot of these things, I feel like you should have the images of the actual product ready to advertise the pre-order. But maybe that's just me. What about you? What do y'all think?
I played Daggerheart a few times, and I really like the foundation of it. I played during the play test, so I'm hoping that they kind of took the feedback that was given to them and tightened some stuff up. If they did, I can see this being a real problem for 5th edition. If they didn't, then this could go the way of a really popular, fun PBTA game. Just it's here, people like it, but it has a niche community. But I think they're going for the heavy swing of being the go-to flagship TTRPG. So if that's the aim, that they need to tighten it up. I really like what I'm seeing in the pre-order, and I want one.
But yeah, I think for that, I think my only comment is, please Please, I've been one of the people that have like commented, don't change the money system to make it more complicated. That's all I ask for. Okay, I'm more of a narrative player. I just want my handful of gold, my chest bag full of gold, and my chest full of gold. I don't need to count how many gold is in there, all right? Cost a handful of gold. Fight me on this door. Fight me.
Oh, okay.
I,
That's me. I don't.
I'll say
don't
this.
need to count the gold.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna say this.
Mm.
I would prefer the thought that they put into the gold system than no thought at all. And all that I'm looking at fifth edition. Fifth edition was like, okay, we're done with the game. All right, we might need currency, I guess. So I'd rather have, handful chests, very wealthy, whatever. They treat gold like a status. I'd much rather that than nothing. So,
I agree with you, Bonsai. Obviously, we played a lot of games together. I'm also more of a narrative than a crunch kind of fellow when it comes to this stuff. But the final art is not always done. The final round of graphics is not always done. So like you said, they are going to rely on like well-built community trust. And it's Critical Role, it's Darrington Press, so that there's already like a base quality line. So that's cool that they're able to do that. I just wouldn't, that's a good way to also burn people if it doesn't turn out the way you want it. I don't believe that they're going to do that. This is a good company, and they, for the most part, they've seemed like they're doing what they want to do, and they're doing it right. So I love to see that. Thank you, Bonsai, for bringing this to our attention. Does anyone else have anything to say about Daggerheart? Okay, then that cools it on Daggerheart for the day. We'll be following that. There will be more news to come from me, Marcus Mays. And speaking of a magic maze, I want to give Javion. There's no transition here. Javion, what kind of magical maze, aside from me, is there out there in the world to muting my microphone now?
Thank you, Marcus, for that lovely transition. I'm super excited to talk to you guys about Magic Maze, which is a very fun game that actually went out of print a while back. And some stores still have it in stock, and you can still find it, but it's a little pretty rare. Right now, you can get your maze hat on for the Magic Maze Tower, which is a sequel to Magic Maze, which is very exciting as well. This one's going to be coming to us from Flat River Group, as well as Sit Down Games, which actually just came out with Open Season a couple of months ago. Magic Maze is a really fun game where basically everyone gets this little tile in front of them that tells you what you're allowed to do in the game. You're trying to move these pawns around on the board, but your tile tells you can only move them like north or east or west or south. Everybody else has to help move them in those other directions. And sometimes when you're playing two players, you'll get two directions that you can use, and it's sometimes hard to remember. And as you play more and more in this cooperative game, you're constantly swapping the rules around. Sometimes there's like a big timer that says if you don't do stuff by the end of this timer, or flip the timer back over, when it runs out, you lose and the cops find you. Or you'll have to swap your tiles around, so you get a little confused as to what you're actually allowed to do, how you're allowed to move these pawns. Or they'll land on something that says you're not allowed to talk to each other in the game. Well, in Magic Maze Tower, they're actually getting rid of the time aspect of it, making for a little bit of a less stressful experience for people. But they're adding a total of 91 levels, which is way more than the original game. And because you're playing in a tower, the lore goes something like you're playing as adventurers in the original game who are sent to the future by the wizard, who's trying to help you perform a heist on a mall, like an actual like modern day mall. It's a little convoluted, but the goal is to get the stuff you need and get out without getting caught. Well, Magic Maze Tower is about fighting your way through the tower that you get thrown in after you get caught, which is pretty funny to me. It implies that they're just assuming you've totally failed on playing Magic Maze. What if you actually succeeded? I guess the lore goes a little bit differently. Anyway, there's something called a little sister hero that's being introduced to Magic Maze Tower, which is unexplained as of yet, but I have to assume it's like a little sister that you have to guide and hold their hand throughout the game and try not to let them get you into more trouble, which is also going to be portable to Magic Maze, the original game, if you still have your own copy, or if you can get your hands on one of those rare extra copies that are still lying around. Magic Maze Tower is going to have artwork by Guillaume, which actually is the same artist who did Magic Maze, the original, and Anthony Mullins, who's made a couple of games that maybe you've heard of, Gardeners and Fairy Lights. There's a lot of new components to look forward to, tutorial cards and help tiles, as well as the standard hero pawns and orientation tiles from the original game. So they're not going to stray too far. It's still going to play up to 4 players, so unlike the expansion, you're not going to be able to play with more. And it's going to play in about 30 minutes, really cutting down on that play time. So look forward to seeing this game when it comes out on October 18th. I don't know if I did a good enough job of selling it to you guys, but if you ever want to try Magic Maze, I still have my dingy copy that we can try out. I'm still trying to get a new one to replace it. Or when the new one comes out, would you guys want to play this?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
yes.
I'd
Yeah,
wanna
it sounds
spin.
fun.
I didn't realize it was like a heist thing too.
Yeah, it's cooperative, so you are technically supposed to help each other, but you're also trying to like get the stuff everybody needs by landing on the. It can be really stressful. So as heists go, I think they do a good job of making it feel like what you the heart pounding adrenaline racing style of a real heist.
And I have to say, I do love the pretense that like, oh yeah, you definitely failed and all of them got caught.
Yeah,
They're in jail now. So
isn't that funny?
that's
Yeah.
that's a really funny thing to do to your audience. Like that's
Yeah.
genuinely great.
We
Yeah.
don't believe in you going to jail. But yeah, no, it really screams like a game. Another game that I like is Hirelings, which is the RPG
Yes.
that's like, you don't really have any
Yeah.
powers, and you're just kind of like, it's comedic effect. But I don't know. I like that I know you're probably a different opinion, but I like that they take out the stress mechanic. Sometimes for me, I'm like, too
That's
precious.
understandable.
Life's already stressful enough, Bonzai. I relate. I get that.
I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll come up with something else to make it more stressful. I mean, once you play it, you'll see exactly what I mean. 91 levels, I'm sure they have something.
This is wonderful. Yeah, Javion, I would absolutely play this with you. I'd play your dingy copy. I would gather around and I would add all the stress to the game possible. I'm so happy that you've opened this up and now I can make your life harder by playing this game with you.
If
This
you're
is-
happy,
this is-
I'm happy.
Oh, this is so great. This is cool. Thank you so much for this update to a game that you already like. Like I love seeing that on TableTakes from my perspective. But something else coming.
Mm-hmm.
Something in the shadows. Something I don't know. Noir. What am I seeing? What am I envisioning here?
Oh
Give me a
well,
clue. Give me a clue of some kind.
I'll give you a clue, and the clue is this: if you want to be one of the most devious bastards in all of New York City, then boy, oh boy, do I have a game for you. That's right. What We Do in the Shadows Clue is coming out just in time for the show's final season, which premieres this October. The 6th and final season of FX series What We Do in the Shadows will have this Clue counterpart, which will have you starring as one of the characters of the show, looking for Laszlo's 100% witch skin hat. So even if you win, you lose, and if you don't understand why, watch the show. But it's Clue. It's What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah, I mean, what more do you need to know than that? It's a great show. Clue is a great game. So if you're having a night where you're binging What We Do in the Shadows, this will be a great event to have with it. I mean, it's Clue. It's got all of your favorite places from Laszlo's house featured on the board, and a lot of in jokes on the cards. It's just it's what you expect it to be. It is coming out. I do believe for $44.99 on Amazon. So check it out. You're gonna get 6 suspect moves, 21 rumor cards, and 25 intrigue cards. Go grab this. And then well, tell me what you think of it.
I forgot. I keep forgetting that they're on their last season this year.
It's been going on for 6
That's
seasons.
and they're one of the only
crazy.
shows that was actually been doing it like yearly, like a new season every single year.
Yeah.
That's not even TV production anymore. They don't do it like that anymore. That's
Guillermo probably did it. You're right, Steve Jackson. Also, hello, Steve Jackson Games.
Steve Jackson, welcome into
Yeah.
TableTakes.
Welcome back. I think I noticed them last week,
week,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah, thanks for tuning in for our show.
So
This is great.
just
Yeah.
stop by every Friday at 2 p.m. You don't know who's going to be in chat. Lots of cool people are here with us talking about their love for games. So we'd love to see you, Steve Jackson. Thank you so much for joining us in chat.
I do like that it is Clue because it kind of fits with the vampire
Yeah.
theme because they're kind of old school, and so like the game mechanics are probably not like innovated or new because the vampires themselves are stuck and they haven't changed their ways in a long time. So it kind of, I don't know, for me it kind of fits.
That's
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can kind of imagine that having that like at a Halloween party, just kind of going in the background while people are drinking and watching and playing. Like that's a perfect kind of fun game. I like Noir, your idea of playing it on a rewatch with some people. That sounds
Yeah,
That's
man.
a great. I love themes. I love thematic events.
I
too.
love theme
Yeah,
nights.
like get drinks, give me food, give me all this. We talked about doing like the Star Trek replicate or the Star Trek murder mystery, make like replicator food and all this stuff. Very much up our alley. What we do in the shadows, Clue. Thank you, Noir, for bringing this to our attention. That is awesome. But that is a TV show getting crafted into a board game. Bonsai, I hear you have some news about maybe a board game or some tabletop IPs maybe making a leap to a different medium.
Yes. So quite funny. We did kind of touch root on this last week. See
You
there.
did it.
Thank you to Mike Didymus from True of Board Game Wire for bringing this up. So this is mostly Patrick Leader, the founder of Leader Games, the makers of Root, Arc, Oath, etc. Gave Board Game Wire some details about their attempts to branch out to alternate media. To begin with, apparently they're considering publishing a video game based off their one IP, not to be confused with their board game version that I believe is on Tabletop Simulator as a standalone, separate. But this is going to be a Root board game, or not, a Root video game that has completely different mechanics from the board game itself. Also in the works is the Root movie, which is being pitched by 2 of the writers from behind Kung Fu Panda animated series, which I am actually a fan of Kung Fu Panda. I don't care, all right? It's a pretty good series. Don't even judge me, Ghibli hater. Anywho.
None of us are fighting. I want to point out behind the scenes, none of us are fighting
Apparently
about.
it's still making so it is apparently still making stop and go progress. The plans, of course, were started a while ago, but were put on pause due to last year's writer's strike. But now that the process, like writer's strike, has been gone through in the process and hopefully get resolved, they are now moving forward again, just slowly. Also, another slow process that's happening, other than, of course, the Root film, is considering comic books. They provide nothing definite, but they're in works and have agreed to license Root into a comic book to various different publishers as well, which is really, really cool, I think. Is what y'all's opinion? Because I do like the art style of Root and the story. Like, if you ever play Root, there's a random hero thing where you can just nuke a village. I don't know if you guys know that. That's a thing that came up. Can
you explain to me how that's a random hero thing?
It's a random thing that you can get and a hero ability that is just they could pull it out and then they just like, you could be like, I'm gonna win with my otter nation and I'm closing in on the hero and they blow up a village and so you can't do anything about it and it's just the village is off the map and it's a thing that can happen. It's like terraforming Mars. There's nukes in terraforming Mars as well. Did you guys know this? Sorry, I just have encounters with a lot of nukes in games, and I don't care.
Do you think that you attract the nukes? Because
I don't use the nukes.
I have not played a lot of games where I had a lot of nukes come into my aid or even I didn't know that. But the fact that Root is actually going to is considering expanding beyond that, like you mentioned, the art style is amazing. The art style of Kyle Ferrin's art is gorgeous across the board. And seeing that adapted into an animated short or animated series, I think is perfect for this.
Yeah.
Graphic novels are also a great home for this because you could tell a little bit more complex stories and still rely very heavily on the art, not like this is cool. I'm a big fan of Root. I
I
like
mean,
this.
I really wish that I could stay on subject, but now I'm just thinking about what other board games could benefit from having nukes in it. And I'm
Okay.
telling you, Ticket to Ride might get a lot more
Oh my
competitive.
gosh.
If you don't let me get to Chicago, I'm blowing up New York.
I mean, abandon all artichokes would be another great example of that. Like, if you do not
Yeah.
abandon the artichokes, drop the nuke card.
But it is something like Root, of course, also had, if you have played it, their RPG version as well that they came out with, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And I do like that it's essentially taking a property that people love and branching it out, and they're not just doing it just to smack an IP on there, but to develop a story, and there's work, and there's actually like a good process going in, you know. Also, I just like cutesy animals that are violent. That's happy tree friends. Woo!
That's
Don't watch
right.
that if
No,
you're
never
No.
again. No, you keep that evil to yourself.
No, this is cool. Again, thank you, Bonsai, for bringing this to our attention. I'm sure we'll have much more to talk about as we follow Root News and Leader Games' next step into new forms with their IP. But next up, we have some exciting games. Javion, you brought this to our attention. I want to hear about what you're excited about, so please let us know.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of board game announcements, and I love talking about these. So let's jump right in. This is another article from Board Game Geek by W. Eric Martin. And there's a bunch of different games on this list here. I'm going to quickly go through them because there's not a lot of details, but there are a couple of photos that we can take a look at. So the first one up is Azul Duel. I think there's something to be said about the assonance, about the ooh ooh ooh. It works. It just works, you know. However, I'm very skeptical about all of these board games coming out with two-player versions. Some of them I feel turn less savory games into something that I'm actually excited to try. But then there's like Azul and Splendor, who already have really great mechanics for two players, for three, for four. So it's interesting to see them trying out a two-player aspect. Maybe they just had some, it's like what authors are always talking about their books. It's like a second chance at their story where they can sort of make some of the tweaks and changes that they would have made after the game had already come out and it's been years and now they want to go back to it. So I'm hoping that this one is just as fun, if not more so, than the original. It looks like it has a bunch of new components, and as any two-player game version of an original classic should be, it should try not to be too loyal and have something to draw in new audiences. Next up, we've got Refuge, which is a game about taking a walk, or at least that's what I can discern from this quote. And I quote, "Your walk is made up of tiles drawn from your bag and placed in front of you. Choose the tiles you add to your bag carefully for the best chance of earning points, but keep a close eye on the weather to make sure you get back to the refuge before the storm bursts." This is shaping up to be another one of the bag building games that I really love. If you've ever played Quacks of Quedlinburg or one of my new favorites, the Invincible hero building game, putting stuff into a bag and pulling it out randomly can be just as fun, if not more so, than rolling dice. Yeah, I said it, and I'd say it again. Next up on the list here, we've got a game called Behind. It's a co-op game where one or more players are trying to decipher and assemble scenes. What are these scenes? Well, the first one is called The Theft. A theft has taken place in a city museum, and now you've got to investigate. The second one is called The Professor. There are two scientists experimenting with an incredible machine. And then we've got Imhotep. A bas relief of strange hieroglyphs is said to open a door to the cosmos. This is giving me strong escape room in a box vibes, unlock or exit vibes. One of those games where you just open it up and you try to puzzle it out and you kind of try to pretend you don't remember how you solved it the first time, the next time you want to play it. So I'm hoping that there's some pretty good replayability in here. All right, and then last on this list here is actually a whole list of games with not a ton of details either, but they're fun announcements and it's fun to speculate. Some of them do have some photos and some Board Game Geek entries that we can take a look at. A few stand out to me. One that's impossible for me to pronounce. I have no idea, and I couldn't find anything online. Matrix GIF is my best attempt at it. It's spelled Matrx GIPF. It's got to be in some other language. It's along the lines of those abstract games that you've seen at the back of your local game store that you just don't know how to pronounce, and you're curious about how it looks kind of like checkers, but it's not, probably. You take a closer look to find out. And then there's also Diner Dice, which, again, absolutely no idea what it's going to be, but it's got dice in the title, which means I'm definitely going to buy it. Take a look at the link in Twitch chat if you want to check out the other games on the Rio Grande Games list that they have announced coming for 2024 and beyond. I don't know if any of these games sound appealing to you guys. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how Refuge plays out. What do you think?
I'm kind of excited for. I'm interested in Behind. I like that idea that you're kind of like taking a piece of something and trying to solve it through mechanisms in the game. Like that seems like it could be kind of fun. I like that kind of gameplay. But that's, if you're asking me, that's probably the one I'm most excited for. Even though I love Azul, I always love Azul.
Well, it's a good thing I'm asking you.
I do like Refuge. I like the aspect of like, it seems like something that's supposed to be more of like you have to think about it. It's maybe it's an introspective game. I'm thinking that you have to do a little bit because you're taking refuge in this area and walking around and maybe cottagecore lifing it up and stuff. But I will say Azul definitely is turning to one of those like games I could see later on down the line that is a game classic, much like Monopoly and stuff like that just because there's so many versions of it. And also, I really, if they have this dual version, I want to make sure if there's a special edition, because I really like it when they have good clicky clacky or like tiles. I like texture, like the really nice click click.
Azul's famously, like every time I've had handled an Azul game, like the candy one, the one with the beautiful candy hard pieces that people wanted to eat.
Yeah, you should have seen the chocolatier version. We were all just like rolling our eyes like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're in on it. You know what you did. You made your starburst looking pieces, and yeah.
Also, I want to give a good shout out to Bonsai on that called shot. I think in the future Azul will be thought of. Like Azul's very popular. I think it might be a staple game for a lot of people in like 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah, it's no dig on Azul. I'm not saying Azul's bad. Yeah. I'm just saying it's so good that it's going to it's like one of those games that are going to test time.
It's actually it's just a lot of my family and people who don't traditionally like board games will have one to pull out with their kids or something. They have a version of Azul of some kind, like the same people who have a version of Monopoly and Sorry and games like that. They'll have just a copy of that. That makes sense to me. No, this is cool. I love this. Any other thoughts on this?
I've seen it around. I just haven't had a chance to play it, so I kind of hope to get my hands on Azul.
Yeah, well,
the two-player version is great for getting started with it if you don't have like a ton of people in your life to go to like meetups and stuff like that. So yeah. I called this a sorry, no, I'll do the soapbox next week.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Javion. I actually do have one question. Of these 4 that you announced, which is the one you are actually the most looking forward to?
Honestly, Refuge. I just love the idea of a bag building game. I don't know enough about any of the Rio Grande game announcements. Some of them have a little bit more details, but Refuge really brought it for me on this article.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep an eye on the rest of the games that they're releasing this calendar year as more information comes out, and we will follow up on that. But Bonsai, I feel a little bit silly. What are you feeling?
I feel like we've had I've been building this lore up in our discussions. All right. I've been talking about all these various different things that are getting TV series and movies and stuff. So I kind of want to know what tabletop franchises need like film and TV adaptation. This is all our silly discussion, so you guys can get to know us a little better as individuals. But so like I said earlier, Root is getting a maybe TV series with, and also the announcement earlier of the, what is it called, the when it's a lot of film, it's all in one, that I talked about
Anthology. I'm
earlier.
thinking
Anthology,
series.
thank you. Anthology with D&D and Warhammer 40K getting their own short adaptations to TV. What do you think deserves the same treatment? I was going to point out that Magic the Gathering, like I broke the news last week, that wasn't, but just got broke yesterday that it is back on, definitely, in works. Yeah, totally. Is getting their own adaptation. Like, what franchise do you think either deserve a second chance or need its own time in the light to shine?
That's a good question, Bonsai. That's a really good question.
Yeah, so an example to kind of get your juices flowing,
Yeah.
I had pulled BattleTech. It had a cartoon in the 90s. But if we were to like put some modern CGI in there, I think we could do some really cool stuff. Bring back mechs. That's all.
I agree. We need more mechs, more mech content.
I have a really good one. I think Clank would be a really interesting series. It could be pretty limited. It's I just don't think there's a ton of dungeon crawl TV series. Like I can't really think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But like Clank is all about, again, it's like a heist thing where everybody's playing as adventurers, go into a dungeon, get the loot, get out before the dragon kills you. I feel like there's so many interesting ways they can expand on that. Oh, and if you don't like that one, then how about Pandemic? Oh wait, they already did a movie about that. Never mind.
The world LARPed it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of LARP.
I got one. I don't like this answer, but I feel like it's only a matter of time. After hearing how you guys described what Lorcana is, which is just like the multiverse of Disney, it's really only a matter of time before we get like a Lorcana TV show. So you can have like Three Musketeer Mickey meet up with like Rockstar Stitch, and I mean, like, listen, I'm sounding upset at the thought of it, but I just imagine that, and it's really cute.
I never thought I'd see the day.
So, I mean, as a card game, I don't like it, but as a cartoon,
Maybe.
certainly better than any Ghibli film.
So once again, to give you viewers some behind the scenes context, Noir, it's one of Noir's personality traits that he doesn't see Ghibli films. So that is just a little context. For my answer, I think I would love to see some kind of small short series where like little episodes cover for the Queen, different queens that are for the different people writing different episodes. So, like, personal little stories about love, loss, and whatever it takes to serve the Queen. I love this game, though I'm a little partial, but I think that would be a fun. It's at least a writing exercise, because a lot of my friends just play for the Queen as like a writing exercise to kind of come up with ideas and stuff.
That would be fun.
Noir, I'm kind of hooked on this idea now, because they'll bring in the Lorcana, and then they'll also, if they can get the Final Fantasy tie-in, they'll just get Kingdom Hearts Lorcana now.
But the thing is, like, you would have different versions of those Kingdom Hearts characters too. So you would have like you would have Magical Girl Cloud.
I would love that though.
I mean, I would too.
It actually selling me now. It'd be like but I don't know. Could they do it like, if they do it darker like Kingdom Hearts? It'd be like, you know how there's Pokemon versus Digimon, and Digimon is like the darker of the Pokemon worlds.
Yes.
So would it be more? I don't know. Disney couldn't go Digimon, even though we want Digimon.
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the more capitalistic way of looking at it is you would just have to have two Lorcana shows aimed at two different demographics. You would have, your cutesy Lorcana show, and then you would have like, the edgy you know,
The edgy
Kingdom Heart, the edgy Kingdom Hearts Lorcana show.
I like the little Lorcana babies. Like they're just like they're like the little baby versions of the Lorcana characters, and they're getting. We're just gonna steal Muppet babies. We're just gonna do that.
Yeah, let's
Disney,
just steal
you
Muppets.
own everything. Do it, Disney. You own everything.
I want
Just do
Muppet
it.
babies back so bad. We didn't know what we had when we had it. We didn't appreciate it.
Little Kermit, little
So
Gonzo.
you're saying you vote for the Chibi Gundam series noir of this version? That's all
No.
you have to admit.
I'm trying to
No.
think of like some,
Gundam, and then there's Chibi Gundam.
there are like there's a lot of good games out there that could make like that both have like the narrative structure though to be a game like Bonza. I saw on the list you mentioned one, and I don't want to bring this up to you, but I'm like you mentioned Wild Sea before. And I
Oh,
think
yes.
I think that's such a gorgeous game to. It's got one of the best arts I've ever seen of any tabletop RPG I've ever seen. But like it is like stunning. The world is interesting. You could do so much with animation on that if you wanted to go that route.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's also one of also another big easy hit would be Gloomhaven getting its own TV
Oh,
series.
Honestly,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that one
Gloomhaven,
actually.
like there's been people who started the campaign who haven't finished it because they're kind of like, I've been playing this for 3 years, I'm done. But yeah, Gloomhaven I'd feel like would be really, really good. And Wild Sea. So if you're not familiar with Wild Sea, it is a world where the sea is like a forest, like a jungle forest, and it's all based off riding chainsaw ships into the wild forest jungle. And I think that's pretty cool because we had Water World.
Mhm.
Water World. That's a
Water
word.
well.
Water World. And then so Wild Sea being like the opposite, I would watch that. I would watch that. Chainsaw ships.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love that. There's also like we could finally do a Shadowrun that's like fun to be a part of. I think as a TV series, I think that's about time we do that because Shadowrun's such a great, interesting game and IP in
Yeah.
the world. And I have so much love and respect for people who love Shadowrun. It is just not for me gameplay wise. I do not feel I can get into it as well as the world is trying to pull me into it. But like, I would love to see some Shadowrun. You can do a lot with live action on that too. We've already seen like shows with a reasonable mid-level budget pull off like visually what that could look like in live action. And this is just like, I mean, anything's available. You can do anything in animation, but like doing some live action stuff, like Shadowrun would be perfect for that for me.
Oh yeah, Shadowrun
Right.
would be perfect, especially if you put in the humor of like Deadpool and The Boys, kind of like marriage between those. I don't know. I just like dark comedies. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I'm
Yeah,
just
no, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about like opinions about this stuff, please.
I think a Kids on Brooms game
Ooh.
would sell like crazy, especially if they just use the Magic and Misfit storyline that Dropout has going for that system. I think the market is hungry for a Harry Potter replacement, and you would have the fans of the system, you would have the fans of the actual play, and then you've got people that just want to go back to being in a magic world without having to have a guilty conscience because the creators are type of way. So it's just I feel like that would hit the sweet spot.
Oh, and it definitely grabbed the group that's also for like who are also into Kids on Bike, which is the girl. What was the comic book that just came out with the girls? That was like kind of Kids on Bike system where they time traveled girls. Time traveling
Paper Girls?
Paper Girls. Yeah, if you could
what's
get
this?
into that like group. Yeah.
I'm looking that up right now, which is exciting.
Paper Girls is a great series,
It
comic book
really is
series.
good.
Oh, I've seen this book. I've seen this book at my comic book shop. I've seen the logo before. That's awesome.
Yeah, they have an animated series that is so good, by the way. Anywho.
That's JB. Do you have any thoughts on what would be a good game?
I feel I said Clank earlier. I
Yes,
did.
Clank.
I was going to say Gloomhaven, but Bonsai already beat me to it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Thanks,
what do you guys
Bonsai.
think of a Wingspan TV show? Is that a
love
thing? Is that
Wingspan.
something?
I love Wingspan, so I'm going to say yes to it. I would.
Could that be
like
something?
This is why I'm not a movie executive.
I just feel like it's such a popular game, and I felt like it was more popular because of its theming than it was from its gameplay. But maybe
you
I'm
could
wrong
do
about
like
that.
you could do like a really interesting like kind of documentary about these animals, like as they kind of go through with some of the art from the game. I don't know. There is something there that is pretty cool. I don't want to. We have some more stuff to cover today, but so I don't want to keep this going too long. But I would like to shout out a couple of like interesting adaptations that have happened. Clue, I think, is the best video game or the best board game adaptation of a movie. Or
Yes.
I think that is by far the best one. With like Dungeons and Dragons maybe coming up, the newest Dungeons and Dragons coming up is like that's still technically a board game tabletop thing. Like, are there any other examples of board games that became movies that worked?
That's a
Like,
good
because I know they
question.
made Battleship, but that was it's a bad movie.
Mm.
Like it's not like a great
Battleship.
movie.
I liked it.
Yeah.
There was kind of a Rock and Sock'em Robot one that wasn't called
Real
Rock and
Steel.
I was
Sock'em
talking about
Robot.
Real Steel.
Real Steel.
You're talking about Real Steel, and it's about
Yes.
Hugh Jackman being a bad daddy in a robot world. Okay? I saw that in
Bad
theaters
daddy.
with my little brother when he was a child, and I regret it, and I still regret it to this day.
You shouldn't. It was great. I loved it.
10 out of 10. Hugh
Most
Jackman.
people did.
Most
You're in the
people did.
minority.
I once again I remember I don't like things, everybody. But I love this conversation. I love this silly discussion, Bonzai. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, all of these wonderful ideas. But now it is about time we head to court. Oh, but Noir might have something. Noir?
Ouija.
Okay, if you haven't seen it, if you like horror movies, Ouija Origin of Evil is a
It slaps.
Is a
It
great
slaps.
film. It is a great movie. It is directed by the guy who did Mike Flanagan, the guy who did Doctor Sleep, who did the Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor. It was pre all of this. It was like pre-Oculus. It is absolutely if it's not just a random horror movie sequel. It is someone good made it. I promise you.
And I have one question, because depending on the answer to this question, then we might have another one,
Uh-oh.
which is, did the Pokemon anime come out first, or was it the card game? Because if it's the card game, then technically Pokemon might be the most successful tabletop game to media
We got
of all time.
We got to.
I gotta
this here.
Google
We're
this.
gonna bring this up next week.
Yeah, we'll
We're gonna talk
do
about
the
this
research next week.
Investigative journalism on whether Pokemon, what came first, the card game or the anime. But right now we are heading to Crowdfunder Court when I find the right button. Welcome to Crowdfunder Court. Here come the judges. Prepare to be judged. All right, court is now in session.
Hello, everybody, and I present to you something that I am very excited about for Crowdfunder Court, and that is going to be the Dungeon Builders Toolkit. It's modular maps for TTRPGs and Dungeons and Dragons. They got to put Dungeons and Dragons in the title. It's the only way it makes this thing sells. But if I like having physical maps on my table, and rolling out a giant sheet or a giant map has always been an issue for me. And I've caught myself playing Betrayal on the House of the Hill, and I've always wondered, why don't we take that same tactic of having different tiles, putting them on the table, and being able to make a map as we go? Well, somebody else had that same idea, and so they've done it. So these are a collection of 400 modular tiles designed to transform your tabletop experience. And they have gridded and ungridded on each tile. I just love the concept of this. Right now they have two themes. They've got their dungeon theme and their frost theme. I'm really hoping that we get ourselves a modern theme. I would love to be able to have these for a modern setting so I could have some fun stuff in my comic book games. But as it stands now, this Kickstarter has been wildly successful. They had a goal of $558. They have raised $2,482 with 101 backers. And 4 days left to back this. So if you are like me and you want an easy to carry, easy to use way of making maps, especially because you can come up with them on the fly, uh this is certainly one to look out for, and I can't wait to have this in my DM bag of tricks. So yes,
Amazing.
that is my Kickstarter or
That-
my crowdfund.
That is awesome. I agree with something you said before the show. We need to get those for more modern and different games so we can start having
Yes.
that would be awesome to see for, like you mentioned, Marvel,
Oh,
Star Trek and stuff. So cool. So get on that. That's just a little tip from Noir. But that's awesome, Noir. Thank you so much for bringing the Dungeon Builders Toolkit, modular maps, and for TTRPGs and D&D to our attention. Next up, we have Bonsai. Tell us what you got.
Yeah, so this comes for us from BackerKip. It's Lava Run! Thank you to Anita for showing this to my attention. So Lava Run is a craftable tile laying board game where you try to be the first dinosaur to escape the erupting lava. It's a 1 to 6 player game with the time of gameplay about 15 to 30 minutes. And it's pretty simple mechanic. Each turn you place down 2 lava tiles from your hand and extend the lava flow, directing it to either to your opponent ideally. Then you move your dinosaur to escape. And the final drawback to finally draw back up to 4 lava tiles. Some can be special event tiles that let you jump over lava or drop meteors near your enemies. So if you have to move, if you have to move and can only move into the lava, you're out because your dinosaur has burned to death. But if you are the first to escape out of the bottom of the board, you win because your dinos escaped the lava. The mechanics are very simple, and it's nothing to get it is a simple game that you can get and play with your kids, or basically if you just want a chill game that you want to be competitive in. And wreck people's dinosaurs. This is a game for you. But also the big mechanic about it is that it's supposed to be a craftable game. The pieces are designed to be colored by you, and you can also they also include an STL file. So you can 3D print your own dinosaurs to play with. They also add expansions, or they do crochet patterns with the tutorial to make and crochet your own little miniature dinosaurs. You can also get the extra special add-on kits that just basically give you everything you need to make everything. That includes air-dried clay, needle felt, or Lego-style plastic bricks. Or blocks, sorry, not to be confused with official marketing.
I
But
love
yeah,
that distinction. Very
yeah,
smart to do
they
that.
make very clearly distinct that they are Lego style plastic blocks. Not to get in trouble with anything else. But yeah, it's a really, really cute game, and it ends Saturday, October 12th. So there's still a lot of time to get it.
Awesome. Thank you, Bonsai. And we have one more crowdfunder in front of the court. Javion, would you like to tell us about that?
Absolutely. Am I muted? No, I'm good. Okay.
No, you are good.
Absolutely. This one's called Gems of Iridecia. So this is actually really exciting because when I was at Gen Con, I found out about this game, but I wasn't able to get into a demo for it. So now we got all this information in a Kickstarter. Gems of Iridecia is an exploration game about gems, collecting them, mining them, selling and trading them. As you play, the gems actually fluctuate in value. So you're trying to sort of push your luck and sell your gems when they're at their highest value, and also, collect gems when they're at their lowest. So there's all this dice rolling, all these tiles you can flip over, and you can even try to collect some of the more rare gems like the Iridia Stone, which is there's only one in the whole game. And then there's a bunch of other cool stuff too, like secret objectives. So there's multiple ways to win the game. And it's got a very simple rule set. You just move onto a tile, you collect the gems, and if that tile has a die on it, you try to roll and see if you can get higher than the gem's value. And if you do, you get even more gems. So it's a lot of collecting stuff. These are the kinds of games that I love the most, where you just get to collect lots and lots of stuff. Right now, if you back it, you can either get the regular version, which is actually pretty cheap if you ask me. It's only $49 for a ton of content. Or you can go up in value and try to get a bunch of other stuff like the Neo neoprene mats, the metal coins. And because it's a game about iridescent gems, you can get a lot of iridescent foil reflective pieces that are all upgraded. It's really, really cool. I can't wait for it to come out. I definitely backed it myself. If you want, you can definitely check it out now because it's still got 19 days to go and it's already hit its goal, which was $10,000 because it's not a huge company that's making it. It's kind of independent, actually. And they're definitely going to make it. So definitely check this out seriously. I can't wait to see this at Gen Con next year as well.
Awesome. JVM, that's fantastic. That's really cool hearing, you didn't get to see too much about it at Gen Con, but now there's more. So that's definitely something we're going to be following as things maneuver throughout the rest of our year here at TableTakes. But thank you all so much for bringing these amazing crowdfunders to our attention here at Gen Con TV. But unfortunately, this is the end today for TableTakes. But do not worry, we still have more TTRPG content coming up with Sarah's Table. They're going to be playing Butt and Head. You Are a Centaur, a game where two people have to play the butt and the head of a centaur and make it work. From what I've already seen, it looks like a hoot. So definitely stay tuned at 5 p.m. for that. But then we have a whole bunch of content all week. We have Mondays, Peter versus the Machine at 9 a.m. with Dress to Quest at 5 p.m. On Tuesday, we have Indie by Night at 7 p.m. Wednesdays, we have Miniature Painting with Path of the Brush and Actoroki. Then Thursday morning, Blood on the Clock Tower. Then 5 p.m., we have Shadowrun with Roll with Rem Alternus. Then back Friday at 2 p.m. for more Table Takes. Big thanks to the Gen Con TV crew, Steve Connard, Peter Atkinson, Sarah Moore, Jim Slonikowski, and Tanel Lovett for those amazing new emotes. You're going to see more of those come in the next few weeks for SUBtember. I want to thank my delightful co-hosts, Javion, Bonsai Noir, and Peter, who cannot be here today, but these wonderful hosts who joined us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your brains. Thank you for your energy. Thank you too much, everyone watching us at home, and make sure you follow Gen Con TV for more of the best 4 days in gaming all year long. Do it. We love you. Okay. Bye. Mwah. Bye. 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 Be good. Be good. Bye.